Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. What is a pre-trip or safety inspection? Good question. Well, a pre-trip or safety inspection ensures that your vehicle is safe to be on the road, safe for you and safe for other people on the road. So, how do I perform a pre-trip inspection? Well, first of all, you're going to approach your vehicle from the front, looking for any signs of puddles or leaking underneath the vehicle, such as an oil leak or a coolant leak or brake leak or power steering leak, just leaks in general, transmission, something leaking underneath your vehicle. Look to see if your vehicle is leaning to one side or the other. This could indicate a suspension problem or a flat tire that you might need to be addressing. After you've performed the initial visual of the front, see if it's leaning or anything under it. Look up a little bit, look at your lights and your windshield. See that they are all in place and they are clean of any debris that would hinder your line of sight or others from seeing you. Look at your windshield wipers. Make sure that they are there and they are intact and the rubber is good on them. Look at your tires. Make sure they are properly inflated. If you have a tire pressure gauge, it is good to carry that with you. In your passenger vehicles, SUVs, and even commercial vehicles, you will find a sticker. Passenger vehicles, big trucks, things like that, most of them will have a sticker inside the driver's door, either on the door post or on the door itself. Most of the time it's going to be on the door post, and it's going to tell you what the factory recommended air pressure is for that vehicle. And most of your newer vehicles that have tire pressure monitor sensors in them, if you don't run within a couple of pounds of that factory recommended pound pressure, then you are going to have tire pressure monitor lights showing up on your dash, which is a little triangle with an exclamation point in it on most vehicles. That tells you have an issue with tire pressure. Sometimes it will say check tire pressure monitor, check tire pressure across the screen on your vehicle. So check what the factory recommended pressure is for your vehicle and see that your tires are at those pressures. Some vehicles, particularly in Ford vehicles, they will actually have a different pressure in the front tires than in the rear tires. And if you make sure that those are according to factory specs, then you're in good shape. The downfall to that is most people rotate their tires front to back for tread wear. Well, if your vehicle is equipped with the separated tire pressure monitor system that requires a different pressure in the front tires than in the rear tires, if you rotate those tires, it will also kick your sensor, your lights and stuff on for tire pressure monitor, because you now have the wrong pressure in the front and in the rear. And so you're not able to rotate those. There is a way around that by simply putting them at the higher pressure, putting all four tires at the higher pressure rating, and that sometimes will work, and you can get by with that. But best case scenario, simply keep the tires in the position they are from the factory, front and rear. That way your sensors will all read accurately and correctly, and then make sure they are pressure monitors are the tires are at the correct pressure for the pressure monitor. And then once you've checked your tires that they have adequate tread and adequate air pressure, then you're going to look under your hood, and you're going to be looking at your brakes the best you can see, depending on the vehicle. That'll be checked from underneath the hood on most commercial vehicles, and for your automobiles, it varies in how those can be checked. You may or may not be able to visually inspect your brakes through the rim or whatever on your car. So that's just if you can see them. Otherwise, they may need to be checked by a mechanic if you have any questions on your brakes on a passenger vehicle. But if you're a commercial vehicle, that is part of your required pre-trip inspection. You must inspect your brakes to see that they have adequate pad on the brakes to stop the vehicle adequately. So moving on, under the hood again, so you're looking at your brakes fluid reservoir. Make sure your brake fluid reservoir has adequate fluid in it. Look at your power steering reservoir, check it, make sure it has adequate fluid in it. Check your oil, pull your dipstick out, wipe it off, stick it back in, pull it back out, make sure that you are in the safe operating zone on your dipstick. If you don't know how to read a dipstick, the safe operating zone is normally indicated by crosshatch marking on the dipstick, and it'll say low or add, and it'll say full. In between those two marks should be hash marks that indicates the safe operating zone. If it's below that, then you need to add oil according to factory recommendation on the weight of oil that you're using. And then once you've checked that, then you're ready to check your antifreeze coolant level. Make sure you have adequate antifreeze coolant in the vehicle. Make sure that your alternator is securely mounted. Make sure your serpentine belts are no more than 3/4 of an inch of play in them if you was to grab them and move them. They should not move more than 3/4 of an inch on a commercial vehicle, and I would recommend no more than 1/2 an inch on a regular vehicle. Make sure they're tight. Sometimes not even that on a regular vehicle, depending on how much gap you have between your pulleys. So just make sure that it's tight. But again, commercial vehicles, no more than 3/4 of an inch play. And then once you've checked that, you're looking at your water pump. Make sure your water pump is not leaking, or any signs of any fluids leaking out of it. Make sure that your radiator hoses are secure, the clamps are tight, and they're not leaking or frayed or damaged. Look at your heater hoses. Make sure your heater hoses are tight and they're not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or leaking, or missing any parts. Once you've done that, then you're going to look at your steering. Look at your steering rods. Make sure they're securely mounted. They are not loose. And your springs. Your springs, if you have a commercial vehicle, you have springs on the front. Leaf springs. If it's a regular vehicle, you probably have struts or coil springs. And in that case, you're looking at that component, making sure it is tight and it's secure, not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Once you have done those items, your fan shroud, look at your fan shroud, look at your radiator itself. Make sure that you don't see anything cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Look at your air breather and air cleaner. Make sure it's securely mounted and it's not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Once you have done that, go ahead and close your hood and move on to the side of your vehicle. You're going to walk down the side of your vehicle. You're looking at glass, making sure it's clean and free of debris and it's not cracked, damaged, broken, or loose. And look at your mirrors. Make sure they are securely mounted. They're not cracked, broken, damaged, loose, or missing any parts. Look at your door handles. If it's a regular automobile, make sure they're working properly, opening and closing your door. And then you're going to look underneath your vehicle on the side, and you're going to look at your frame and make sure that it's not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. And on a commercial or a rear-wheel drive truck, you're going to be looking at the drive line, make sure that it's securely mounted and it's not loose. Your U-joints are not loose. Carrier bearings are not loose, cracked, damaged, broken. You're looking at, if it's an air brake commercial vehicle, you're looking at your air lines to make sure they're securely mounted. They're not cracked, broken, damaged, loose, or missing any parts. You're looking at your air chambers on the back, making sure they're securely mounted, not cracked, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Looking at your leaf springs on the back, make sure they're not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Looking at your rear differential, make sure that you don't see anything leaking and it's not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. You're looking inside your rims, looking at your brake drums or pads, make sure they have adequate amount of padding on them to stop the vehicle. And they're not grinding, getting low enough to be grinding into your rotor or drum. Then you're looking at your rims, make sure they're not cracked, broken, damaged, loose, or missing any parts. Looking at your in between your duals on a commercial vehicle. There is no debris between the duals on a commercial vehicle. Make sure that that is all clear. No less than 30 seconds tread depth on the rear tires on a commercial vehicle. On the front, I will back up a little bit to where you are under the hood, checking if it is a commercial vehicle. You're also checking your brake chambers up there if it's an air brake. Make sure your slack adjusters do not move. If you was to release the brakes and shock the wheels, they would not move more than 1 inch. Then you will move on to the we'll move on back toward the back of the bus. You're looking underneath back of the vehicle. If it is a commercial vehicle, trucks, buses have a fuel tank in the back. Box trucks, things like that will have the fuel tank under the back of the vehicle. Make sure it's not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, missing any parts, and it is not leaking. You're looking at the back of the vehicle you're driving. Make sure your lights are secure. They're not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Your back windows are clean and secure, not cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. If it's a school bus or most commercial vehicles, you have clearance lights up above, and then school buses will have loading and unloading lights you're also looking at, that you should have also been looking at from the front if it is a school bus. Moving on around to the other side, you're looking at your differences between that side and the other side, and make sure the same components are all adequate. Your windows, your mirrors, your tires, your underneath, and any differences like your fuel fill door, whichever side that may be on your vehicle, you're looking at the fuel fill door. Make sure that it's securely mounted and the cap is in place properly and tight and it's not leaking. And then moving on around, if you are on a passenger vehicle, you're going to get in to the driver's seat at this point. If it's a school bus, you're going to get in up the stairs. You're going to look at your fire extinguisher, your handrail entering, your step tread coming into the bus, your door seals on your doors coming into the bus, looking at your extinguisher to make sure that it is dated and securely mounted and that gauge is in the adequate charge range for operation. You're going to look at your first aid kit and make sure that it's there and secure. And commercial vehicles, buses included, have triangles, reflective triangles, and you should have 3 reflective triangles. It's your job to make sure those reflective triangles are there and adequate. Moving to the driver's seat. You will now sit down in the driver's seat. This will be in a school bus. You're going to check all of your interior lights. This would be to all vehicles, checking your interior lights. Make sure they are working and burning correctly and adequately. Turn on your windshield wipers, make sure they are operating correctly. Check your washer fluid, make sure it's spraying properly to keep your windows clean. You're going to check your gear shifter, make sure the gear shifter is shifting properly and in and out of the gears the way it should. Put the vehicle in neutral and try to start the vehicle. It should not start while it's in neutral. That is a neutral safety switch that will prevent you from starting it. I'm sorry, not neutral. It's the neutral safety switch if you have it in gear, my bad. Have it in gear. If you put the thing in gear and try and start it, it should not start. It should not allow you to start the vehicle with it in gear in any vehicle. That's a neutral safety switch. Then you're going to move on to your defroster fans and heater fans. Make sure that all of your defroster and heater fans are working correctly on all speeds. This will make sure that you have adequate defrostability on your windshield that will keep your windshield clean and clear, as well as keeping yourself comfortable temperature-wise in the vehicle. Then you can check your seat belts. Make sure your seat belts are not frayed, cracked, damaged, broken, loose, or missing any parts. Make sure that they will properly latch and unlatch. Then if you are once you have done all of those things, you're ready to start your vehicle. Go ahead and put on your seatbelt. Make sure it's latched. Start the vehicle. Check your gauges. You're checking to make sure that you have proper amperage between 12 and 14 volts on your amp gauge or volt gauge, whichever your vehicle indicates it as. Check your oil pressure. Make sure that you have adequate oil pressure. It should be between 20 and 60 psi depending on your vehicle. You should never see anything below 20 pounds. If so, you could potentially have an issue. Obviously, if you have zero oil pressure, shut the vehicle off now. You will not safely operate that vehicle, and it will not continue running very long. Then you're going to move on to checking your temperature gauge, make sure that it's coming up properly, and if you have a transmission temperature gauge, make sure that's properly coming up. Check your indicator lights on your dash, turn signal indicator lights, and your high beam indicator lights. See that they are properly working and showing what they should be showing you when they're on. Then check your four-way flashers, make sure they're working and the indicators are working on those. Then you're going to, if it's an air brake, we will address that a little bit more in depth in another video on air brake systems. But for now, we're going to move on to if you're in a regular vehicle, you're going to go ahead and put it in gear. You're going to move forward about 5 miles an hour, not slam on, but push the brakes firmly and hold on your steering wheel. Make sure that it doesn't pull your steering wheel to the left or to the right, which could indicate an issue with the brake. Make sure it evenly stops you quickly and firmly. And that's going to be in any vehicle. Then you will set the parking brake and put it in gear and gently touch the accelerator to see that the parking brake is holding the way it should be holding. And if that is good, then you're going to move on to lights. We'll get out of the vehicle. I would turn on your headlights, turn on your four-way flashers. If it's a school bus, turn on your 8-way student system, and your high beams and low beam. You can turn on high beams first as you're checking. And then you're going to get out. You're going to walk around the vehicle and make sure that all of those lights are lit up properly the way they should be lit up. Then you'll get back in your vehicle and you should be safe to go. If you're a commercial vehicle, you're documenting all of these things and showing that it is safe to operate the vehicle now. So at this point, you should be good to go. If it's a school bus, you have some other interior details to check and go through. I'll do another video about specifically school buses, and I may go ahead and do other videos specifically. This is your general pre-trip inspection thing. I will go into more detail and more specifics for each type of vehicle that you're going to be doing pre-trips on. Your semis, your school buses, your box trucks, or just your regular automobile, family automobiles, things like that. I'll go in more specific detail on each of those vehicles in specific broke down videos. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the videos. Have a good day. Bye now.